Hello everyone. Hope you have all been well. I am Kaveri, a corporate lawyer and trainer from UCS. We have with us today Ms. Anupama V, a lawyer with over 24 years of experience in corporate and labor laws and who is also the chief trainer at UCS. Hi Anupama, it is nice to have you here on this podcast.
Hi Kaveri, nice being here too.
Anupama, the POSH Act has been around for nearly a decade now, 9 years to be precise. This law was enacted to benefit working women. However, several organizations still do not comply with this law. Why do you think organizations are so slack about this law?
Why don't organizations do something about this law? Well, I've come across different experiences in the last 9 years. Actually, even before that, remember the Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan guidelines by the Supreme Court on sexual harassment came way back in 1997 and have been very similar to what the POSH Act has been. In spite of that, it is one of the only acts which has not been enforced by the government or the organization. The reasons of it I have seen are many. One of them being that the organizations find this a taboo topic. Nobody wants to discuss it, nobody wants to touch it. Everybody thinks if you turn your face away, it will go away, which is not the case. I have had an experience where I met with a MSME employer, and the first thing he told me was, well, I don't really want this law to be, I don't really want to impart any training to the employees because they'll get to know a lot and I don't want them to know a lot of information. And that was the sad part of it. The other are a lot of MNCs who are very compliant, who do have a policy in place. But even there, in some of the cases, I've seen that there's a policy which is a global policy that is made applicable. Nobody really spends time to see whether the Indian law has been put into force. And the third, of course, everything is on paper. Somebody would have advised them that they need to set up a policy, they would have helped them set up a policy, bought randomly a few people, whether they're interested or not even interested, and become a part of the IC. End result is that in whole, the act is never enforced. And I actually, in my few years of experience, I came across a situation where an inquiry was being conducted on a sexual harassment case, and after the inquiry was done, one of the persons who never participated in the whole process called me up and said, why am I being asked to sign the report? I said, because you were a part of the process and you knew what was happening. So he said, well, I never really wanted to be here. People have just pushed me in and put my name there. So this is what we should avoid. And that is when the organizations also will start taking this whole thing very seriously.
Well, the other day, as I was having a conversation with my friend, she mentioned to me that at their workplace, they do not even have an IC, whereas constitution of an IC is one of the mandatory provisions under the POSH Act. I was so surprised as to how ignorant an organization can be.
This is not the first time that I've heard this, Kaveri. In my experience of the last 9 years, I know of many places where constitution of an IC is only on paper. You have situations where the chartered accountant would have said, oh, you need to comply with this act, come out with the policy, and they come up with the members of the IC as well. And these members on IC are neither oriented, sometimes they don't even know who the external counsel is. It can get that bad. As I've told before, laws have to be enforced. It's not enough that a law comes into being. There is a penalty imposed. As you know, there is a penalty of 50,000 rupees if an organization does not set up an IC. You would be aware, isn't it, that non-constitution of an IC actually attracts a fine of 50,000 rupees. And if this continues, even the trade license may be cancelled. But has anything been done about it so far? None at all. In fact, there are two cases on this. One is Shrija Nayar versus Sri Lankan Airlines Limited, in which the company was not only made to pay a penalty of 50,000 rupees to the complainant as a compensation, but they were fined another 50,000 rupees for not having constituted an internal complaints committee. In another case, that is Miss G versus ISG Novosoft Technologies, where also they had not set up an internal complaints committee. The High Court of Madras asked the employer to pay the victim a compensation of 1 crore 68,000 for not having set up the IC.
Anupama, it is really good to know that the penalties are so severe. At least by the example of these two cases which you just told us, I hope the organizations take this seriously, constitute an IC, and abide by the POSH Act. Dear listeners, if your workplace does not have an IC, please speak with your employer to have one constituted immediately. I do hope you all found this episode very informative and interesting. Do get in touch with us with your queries, suggestions, and feedback by emailing us at admin@upseedconsulting.com or writing to us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We at UCS are a one-stop shop for everything related to POSH. We will also assist your workplace in constitution of an IC and also provide you with an external member which is mandatory under the POSH Act. Reach out to us for any help that you may need regarding POSH. We will be back soon with another interesting topic. Until then, wishing you all a great day.